Hey everybody, how's it going? I've been gone. I've been helping my father move, which is an ordeal in and of itself. I'm still remodeling. That's a thing. I'm just one guy. And of course, things regarding the funeral that I attended. I mean, some stuff still lingers, but other than that, everything's okay. I've just been incredibly busy, and I'm ready to get back into the swing of things and start making videos, making content. However, I can't do anything until I make this video first. This has to be done now. I made a couple videos in the recent past, some gun stuff videos that, with inaccurate, invalid information. And this is me taking ownership. This is me taking responsibility for the mistake that I made. Unlike some content creators within the firearm community, I like to I take pride in the stuff that I do, and I'm also not a stranger to making mistakes. And when I make a mistake, I tend to correct it and not cower and hide from it and conceal my shame or whatever. So this is me making it right. And just please accept my apology. In the future, I genuinely plan to avoid these serious mistakes. But fortunately, they're not too catastrophic. So let's just start with this torque wrench stuff, because there's a couple things that I want to address. So I uploaded a video installing an A2 buttstock. It's a pretty large buttstock, very old school, very classic. It's got it's got that classic look. It's very popular in action films, and there were some things that were brought up about my form and the torque specs that I used or that I stated in the video that were not correct. So first off, how exactly do you use a torque wrench? Because there was some confusion about this, and it's actually pretty simple. You want the tool, or you want the tool that is going to be tightening down a castle nut or a barrel nut, etc., to be at a right angle or be 90 degrees to the handlebar of the torque wrench. So this is what it's supposed to look like. Now, I'm not pulling this information out of my butt. I've worked on on cars before, and of course I've been installing assembling rifles for quite some time, and this is how it's done. This is what it's supposed to look like. It's very, very simple. Very, very simple. It's got to be at a right angle. Now, oh man, hold up. Come on, there you go. Now, what about an armorer's wrench? An armorer's wrench, it's the same thing. Now, do you want the armorer's wrench to be like this? No, that is incorrect. For the most part, you want the tool part, whatever it is you're using to tighten down. Let's say this is for the castle nut. So this portion of the armorer's wrench needs to be 90 degrees to the handle. So this is what it would look like. It's going to be that one instance where it actually does look like it's like kind of at a 90-degree angle, but not really. It's at this weird funky angle here. So yeah, so just be mindful of that. Now, the one of the more common armorer's wrenches, which is the ATI armorer's wrench. Fantastic tool. Let's pretend this is the ATI armorer's wrench. It's literally going to go on like this. It's literally going to be like this because the castle nut, the castle nut portion of the tool that tightens down the castle nut, it literally is going to be 90 degrees to it. So some people are like, oh, it's got to be adjacent to the handle. It's got to be adjacent to the handle. And then someone's like, no, it's not. It's got to be 90 degrees to the handle. That's just not right. That's just not right. Now, again, the tool portion needs to be 90 degrees to the handlebar. Now, where am I getting that information from? Let's go over here to the computer. I am getting that from Tecton's website. Of course, when you buy a brand new torque wrench, you should have a manual. You need to review that manual because it has very important information about maintaining your tool and using your tool, obviously. Now, this is from Tecton's website, and of course, I primarily use a Tecton armorer's wrench or torque wrench. And this is what they have to say: how to accurately use a torque wrench with a crowfoot wrench. When you connect a torque wrench with another tool like a crowfoot wrench, which, by the way, that that tool that I have connected to the torque wrench, that's the Midwest Industry barrel nut tool, and it looks like a crow's foot. So it's important to pay attention to how the two tools are configured. You could be applying more or less torque than you intended to, depending on how the tools are working together. If you place a crowfoot wrench at a 90 at an angle 90 degrees to the torque wrench handle, the amount of torque you're applying doesn't change. You can set the torque wrench to the fastener's torque specification and continue to use the torque wrench normally. This is because the center of the fasteners remains on the same plane as it was before you added the crowfoot wrench, meaning that the overall effective length of the torque wrench stays the same. Very simple stuff, and then of course it goes in depth about all these conversion numbers, and there's that torque calculator thingy, and it's a little too complex for what we're using the torque wrench for in regards to firearms. So don't get too caught up in let me just put it this way: if you buy a digital torque wrench or something like the Tecton torque wrench, or maybe something like from Harbor Freight, read the instructions. Whatever the instruction says goes. Now, there's some general principles in regards to how to use the torque wrench. I wouldn't defer to those until you've exhausted all your options, or exhausted all the primary information, like from the manufacturer of your torque wrench. So I just wanted to get clear that up. And the reason why that I bring that up is because here I'm going to go ahead and pull up this graph that somebody was kind enough to send me, or there's this diagram here, there's this image. All right, so what we have here in this image is a lower receiver on a vise, and you have a rifle receiver extension tube, or we're going to just call it the rifle buffer. And of course you have the torque wrench in conjunction with the little armor tool, and it's tightening down the rifle buffer. And in the video where I'm installing something similar, I state in the video that I use 30 foot-pounds. That is not correct. I'm not entirely sure where I got that figure from. I think I was looking at the handle of the real Avid Armors wrench, where the muzzle brake, the specs states that it needs to be 30 foot-pounds. So I think that's where I read it from. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember what torque settings that I used, but it likely wasn't correct, because 35 sounds a little too excessive for me. And if it makes anyone feel better, that rifle configuration doesn't exist anymore. They found new homes. Let's just put it that way. But I was wrong for stating that, and I apologize. And just for my own sanity, because I've seen a lot of rifles, a lot of DIYers deform the material at the end of their rifle buffer because they tighten it too hard, because they do use the armorer's wrench. They're probably doing something wrong, but nonetheless, I contacted the manufacturer of the specific A2 buffer buttstock, or not A2 buffer. I called the manufacturer of the specific A2 buttstock that I was installing. So the guys who sold that to me, I contacted them, and they said, well, when we install it, we don't use the torque wrench. We just use, because they have pre-made rifles that they sell. They state that they just use the armorer's wrench. All right, excellent. That's pretty simple. And I contacted a couple gunsmiths here in the valley, guys that I trust, who are more experienced than myself, and I asked just for their opinion. How would you go about installing this thing? Do you use the torque wrench? What do you do? They just use the armorer's wrench, and that's it. They tighten it until it's tight. I read a bunch of stuff on forums and other community boards, and it's always the same thing. They're like, look, people are just putting way too much thought into this. Tighten it until it's tight, and it won't let you tighten it no more. Don't worry, you won't have to worry about deforming the material. At the end of the rifle buffer, where the armorer's wrench makes contact with the actual tube itself, and you'll be fine. Put a little bit of Aeroshell on there, and you're good. You shouldn't have any problems. I personally never had any problems with my A2 rifle buffers being backed out. Granted, I use the torque wrench for the most part, but yeah, I'm going to in the future. I mean, they're not too common. That's another thing. I don't really come across the rifle buffers, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, this is how somebody said that I was holding it wrong. I had bad form. I rewatched the video, and by the way, you can rewatch the video yourself and let me know what you think because it's on Bitchute, it's on Minds, it's on Odysee, and or LBRY, whatever. And yeah, I think the form is good. I also have the installing an AR-15 or assembling an AR-15 series, and I'm utilizing the torque wrench multiple times, and I've had no issues, you guys. The forum was good. People have those videos were well received, and yeah, I don't know why they said that my forum was wrong. Maybe I was misreading what they were saying, but when I said 30 foot-pounds, it's absolutely incorrect. So I do sincerely apologize for that, and either I misspoke or I didn't know what I was. Or I got tricked by this real avid armor's hammer, and I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't doing it right. So now let's address another video that I made. This is the Guns and Stuff Midwest Industries quad rail overview, and I was talking about this. Now this video is 90% good, but the 10% needs to be addressed. I made a glaring screw up, and for that I'm sorry. Now the reason why I did that. Now, I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm not trying to weasel my way out of taking responsibility. But the reason why I did that is because I was really excited to demo this specific quad rail, the T-Series quad rail from Midwest Industries. So I slapped it on this firearm here, which I had other plans for. And this configuration doesn't exist anymore, by the way. But nonetheless, I wanted the rail to come off easily, and I didn't want to get it scratched up or have issues. So I didn't apply the green sleeve retainer, which it comes in. It's like a little green packet. It comes with the rail. I don't generally use other people's thread locker or sleeve retainer or whatever. I use my own. I generally use Permatex exclusively. So the reason why I use the grease is it's because I wanted this stuff to come off or disassemble a lot easier. I shouldn't have done what I did. It was really stupid. I think I ended up shooting it anyways, and it was perfectly fine. I didn't have any issues. It's on there pretty good. Honestly, it's on there really, really good. This isn't catastrophic, so I'm going to leave it on there. If you did do this, please, remove you can remove the rail. You're going to have to degrease the rail, dry it, and then apply green sleeve retainer. And also in this video, I pulled out the manual or the installation guide or the installation instructions, and I should have placed more emphasis on reading that before you do anything, before you continue with the video, etc. So again, I made one mistake after another. I take full responsibility for it, you guys, and I just want you to know that I would never deliberately mislead anybody. I would never deliberately give people false information. I misspoke. I rushed this video out. I was really excited to show it off. I like showing off guns and, doing cool things like this. And, I just genuinely enjoy it. And I got too excited. And this is what happens when you rush yourself. You make mistakes. So I clearly made a mistake here. And for that, I sincerely apologize. Hopefully you guys can forgive me. And I appreciate people keeping me honest, and I was going through some of these comments, and for the most part, the majority of you guys are incredibly kind and gentle and way more mature than myself, and some of you were totally ruthless and tore me to pieces, and to that I say, I deserve it. What comes around goes around. There was this video of this guy. He was installing or he was doing some installation of a water cooling system in his PC. And the interesting thing about the majority of water pumps is that you're not supposed to run them dry. You got to have water flowing through them. I know this because I do maintenance on my own pool. I don't have a pool dude, and if it's a very expensive pump, and if it's running and there's no water going through that thing, it's there's $800 down the toilet. So I'm roasting this guy in the comment sections. I'm just goofing on him. I'm being just totally ruthless, just tearing him to pieces. And you know what? Yesterday it was him. Today it was me. So again, I do real life here on the channel. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. I make mistakes. I'm probably gonna make more mistakes in the future, but I'm gonna try really hard not to, you guys. I don't want to give people the wrong information, and yeah, I just hope you can forgive me and not lose faith in me and all that good stuff. And yeah, I got more videos coming. Things have calmed down for the most part. I had to get this out of the way before I do anything else because this is it's been on the back of my mind for quite some time. And this is it. This is it. So if you guys have any questions, any comments or concerns, let me know. I'm always trying to respond to everybody. It's really difficult to respond to people on alternative tech platforms because they don't really have notifications, which is stupid. Because I would love to respond to comments for the most part on the other sites. It's just difficult. But except for Minds is pretty good. But everywhere else it's just like ugh. But yeah, just keep me honest, you guys. Keep me honest. I'll keep them coming. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. And don't get demoralized with all the craziness going on out there. And I got more videos coming up regarding some recent events. So yeah, peace.